Welcome, Mr. Herbert.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to start off by saying thank you for your service, because freedom is not free, and we know that. We know somebody had to pay the cost, and we appreciate your valor. So thank you.
Welcome.
Let's get right into it, Mr. Smith. Can you tell us what branch you served in?
The Army.
Okay. All right. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? What made you want to join the military?
I had cousins, and my dad was in World War II, briefly. And I saw a lot of those brothers came home on leave, and they had uniforms on. They were marching, they were walking. I was in high school, in grade school, rather. And I just wanted a uniform on. I wanted to go in, at that time, to be what you might say, up your grade in terms of a job. You know, when jobs were from Mississippi, where I'm from.
Okay.
And it was the thing to do, and I wanted to go. And I was drafted under President Kennedy.
Okay. All right.
No, Johnson. President Johnson. No, I received my draft card from President Kennedy, and when President Kennedy was assassinated, Johnson took over, and then I went down. 2 Greyhound buses went down to the capital of Jackson, Mississippi, and they sent 2 of us back.
Oh wow!
That would not fit for until, and it was kind of crushing to me. People laughed, you were not good or whatever. But then I waited 2 years and I volunteered, and they took me.
Oh wow!
John took me, so and I went in there.
Awesome. So how was your basic training?
It was real. I say it was educational. It was fun. It was funny. It was scary at times, and just say one funny thing about it. Last day up there, we were taking our infiltration course. You go down, you clear you tell your buddy next to you, say, move out behind the tree. He said, cover me. Well, my rifle jammed, so I didn't cover that man. Didn't nobody know but me. So I pretend I was covering him. He was running, but he was not covered. I didn't shoot. Because he wouldn't fire. And then when I got down to the end in Fort Polk, Louisiana, that was a wild hog that fell into the foxhole. So you're supposed to jump into the hole, whip your bayonet on your rifle, and you shoot and you stick. But when I was going down, there was a hog in that hole. And I don't know. He was probably been in there maybe a week or so. I don't know. And he was mad. I know about hogs. And for some reason, the machine gun shoot over your head. Everybody, and I was going down, but I sprouted that hole, just laid down on top of it. The machine gun going over my head, and they said, get in the hole. Well, I couldn't raise up then because the machine gun was flying over my head. And so if I knew if I got in that hole, and small as it was, I wouldn't have been able to stick that hole. He would have got my legs. Wow. And so I lay there. It was over. And then they came down, and the CO and the sergeant and all of them came down. And of course, they chewed me out and called me everything but a sunflower seed, And so they told me in the Army, just don't try to explain it. Just say no excuse. And you get by better. So that's one of the funniest things about it.
It sounds like a funny moment, right?
It was funny because they couldn't believe that what they were seeing, and they never seen nothing like that. But 331 men is in my platoon. And I was out there that day and did that. Everybody was looking like a machine gun down there was firing. They didn't know what had happened. They didn't know it hit me or what. Because I was laying across that hole, but that hole was in that hole.
Right. So what was your military job?
Oh, driving. I was a chauffeur.
Okay.
Started out as being a chauffeur, and then I'm up to a public affairs office, and where it's all in one office. Public affairs, regional affairs, local affairs. I was in there, but I was mostly a chauffeur. And you take a test for everything you can do the best. Right. For some reason or other, I came out high on driving. I don't know what.
How many years did you spend in the military?
3 years. I spent 3. And it was when I graduated with 331 guys. 3 of us didn't get no orders. The rest of the guys gone home, went on to Vietnam, went on whatever. So I stayed in the back 3 weeks by myself. 3 of the guys, nowhere to go. And they say, well, you're going to. When I did get my orders, he said you're going to Germany, USAG, but that's not what it was. That's the United States Army Garrison. And I left home, told my mother I was going to Germany and everything. But I didn't know I was going to South Carolina from Mississippi. If I was going to Germany, but anyway, I wound up in Panama Canal Zone.
Oh, wow. What year was that?
1966, July the 10th, 1966.
1966. Wow.
And at that Fort Polk, Louisiana, it was called Camp Polk in World War II. My dad was there. Okay, there was a Camp Polk, and there's a Camp Shelby in Mississippi. Still is a Camp Shelby in Mississippi. And Fort Polk was they named it Fort Polk when I got there, but my dad was there. It was Camp Polk, and now it's not either one. Now they just changed the name about a year ago.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, but another conversation on that one. But they just changed the name, so it's not Fort Polk no more.
So every soldier's experience is different in the military. What was your experience in the military?
I guess meeting got men in there, because when I was in, women wasn't in there with me. Women, no female. Well, a few, no other places, but not where I was. Places, and I saw guys that are from Idaho or different places that even Americans that didn't. American Indians and American white peoples and blacks that live in certain part of the United States. They wasn't used to being around a lot of black people, and they wasn't used to seeing this kind of things. And it was a whole different thing. And I saw a lot of that, went on. And then after, several time went on, they got comfortable with it, accepted. And when was black and white sergeant, we all together. So Truman changed that in 1947. There would be no more black and white army. And that's when that was been changing.
So as an African American, how was your experience in the military?
To be truthful, it didn't bother me because I'm from Mississippi, and I saw a lot of things that happened before. I went in, and the things that was going down, I was already used to. I've been taught that. I knew that. So I rode right through Alabama. The bus driver, I rode in the back of the bus. So I left him riding in the back of the bus. Oh, wow. People don't know that. And a friend of mine from Mississippi, he came back driving the bus, and he drove for 35 years for Greyhound bus. But we went through the bus driver. So right there, Rosa Parks, apartment building. This is Martin Luther King's house right there. I'm looking on the bus. Or sitting in the back of the bus. Greyhound bus from my hometown. Yes. But I knew all those things that was happening as far as us getting along with race and prejudice, stuff like that. I knew about all of that, so it did nothing surprise me when I saw things that happened. And I knew how to go around or deal with them, and to follow myself and not just follow the crowd off. And like I said, a lot of guys got on drugs and things, and I was not. I didn't get on drugs because from my hometown where I came from, people used to laugh at me because I didn't know nothing about no marijuana until I was maybe 25 years old. Wow. Never heard of it, never seen it.
All right.
Not out of my little hometown. And I tell a guy in my little hometown in Mississippi, we only have one policeman. Okay. And he only work on once a week on Saturday. I never see him. He had a gun, but I don't know if he had any bullets in it or not. But he had no stick. I never seen him hit nobody. He didn't have no handcuffs either.
Oh, wow.
Right there in Mississippi, before my hometown. The guys asked me, "Where you from?" I tell them, they don't believe that. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
In my hometown where I'm from right now, they're a little bit different now, but wasn't one policeman, so I didn't have no. We just behaved. What I'm trying to say, well, young people wasn't still bringing in the banks and things. They wasn't bother one another. We just left each other alone.
Right. Speaking of young people, so today, if a young person was getting off track and needed discipline, do you think the military is a good place for them?
I say that because of the discipline, like you said, it's follow up what you do. You see, my mother and dad, he didn't just tell you and left it alone. You follow up what you said. Ask me to repeat what I said again. So that's what they did in the military. And my dad and mom say, okay, I wanted by the time to go to bed. So because well, I gotta go to bed. Well, you gotta go to school tomorrow or whatever else. So now they were doing nothing else. Everybody understand what I just said now? Okay, well now tell me what I just said then. So they did the same thing in the military. Tell me what I said. Don't just say because my brother was in the Navy and he said the same thing, you know, and he asked me could he swim? And he said, yeah.
Just
wrong thing to do. He did. So you on that ship out there, but he told the man he could swim, but he couldn't swim, and so they pushed him in the water and had to go get him. So he know how to swim. But anyway, the parents would tell me, "Don't ask me again because now you tell me what I just said." Now, what happened is my grandmother told me. She said, "Bend a tree while it's still yellow sapping." In other words, don't wait till that child get, so you take a small twig. You set it out here. You know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna dig it up and set it over here. I think I'm gonna bend this tree over a little bit and bring it over that way. I think I'll dig it up. After a while, that tree kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And nothing to do with that no more. That means you're a grown son now. You let this boy eat what he want to eat, say what he want to say, go to bed when he get ready. And all that wants now, you got company at home. And you say, now, Jerry, you know it's time to go to bed. He said, Mama, you tripping. Well, she is, really. But that's not something to say to your parents. But now you're gonna get mad. Hey, boy, you're gonna talk to me like that. Well, one thing next to another one. My dad never had football that much. He didn't have to. He just told us what it had to do. And that was the question you asked me. Now, do you understand what I just said? And that's what when I got in the army, they said the same thing. Repeat what you said. What I just said. Don't just say, "Yeah, I understand." You don't understand because you can get another soldier hurt because she said, "I know how to operate my weapon. I know what their command is. You don't know it, and that's why you never will forget basic training. Okay, how long has it been? It's been over almost 60 years now, and I still remember basic training from like it was yesterday. Wow. You don't forget it, and because they continue to go over that over and over and over and over and over it. And you stay with it, like your child, and he's used to that. If he knows he's supposed to go to bed at a certain time, you don't have to go there every night with him, argue with him. Why you go to bed? I don't want to go to bed. I'm not sleeping. Blah blah blah. See, well, you already told him that. If you continue telling that, don't talk with that child. Talk with them, and sit down and have to spend some time with that child, and listen to that child because a child can tell you something. Everybody can tell you if you listen. He can speak. If he can talk, he can tell. You can hear. So let him tell what he has to say. Don't say things like oh boy, well you be quiet. Say, but you're just a child. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm grown. I know better than you. Hear what he has to say.
Exactly. So how was your transition back to civilian life?
Oh, it was already good. Yeah, they didn't have no problem. No problem because I was been working. His son was a child from day one. I mean, one small child from babysitting to, going to the on the farm, baling hay, to you name it. I did all that kind of thing. And so when I got out and came to Cincinnati to visit my brothers and things, and I said, the first thing I'm gonna think about is getting a job. Wasn't about I'm gonna go on the streets and I'm gonna get on welfare. A lot of people told me to do that. Get on welfare, man. Go get you 3 or 4 women, put them on welfare. You need to work. You can do all this. No. That's not my thing to do. Mine is to get a job.
That's right.
And so when the police pulled me over, and I'm driving a big car or something, where you get this? Where you get that money in your pocket? And I tell those guys, you're allowed to have $500 in your pocket, even lottery. $500, no taxes, nothing. Nobody can touch that. I don't care if you're not working in the park. Put 1 penny with that, make it $5.99. That's yours. Make it $500. You got to pay taxes on it. I tell the young folks that they said, "No, nothing." I said, "You can call the IRS in and tell them take it downtown to the judge, and the judge said, you got $1,000 in your pocket. Do you work now? Are you win lottery? Well, if you win lottery, then they're gonna know you did pay taxes. You didn't pay tax on that, then that's something wrong again." Okay, and I tell them that, and so when after he pulled me over, I can show him my check stub. I worked, or my badge at General Motors. I started off in Norwood, and then I went to Fairfield. Up there, and I stayed up there until 20-some years up there.
Okay.
And so I was ready to go to work when I got so it wasn't no
right.
And I wasn't on drugs, never have been on drugs, and it didn't bother me. See,
That's good. What was your most memorable moment in the military?
Let's see. Beside that hog and that hole,
Yeah, that was a good one.
yeah,
That was a
beside
good one.
that, I don't know. I guess one night we was waiting to do at night practice, practice on the infiltration course at night, and we sitting in the bleachers out there in the middle of the woods out there in the forest. I mean, saying in Popo down. And somebody told me, said Smith can imitate all the drill sergeants and the platoon sergeant and the company commander and which I could, I did this that quick. I could easily do it, pick up. And so the lieutenant, no, one of the guys said, Smith, go ahead and do it. And I'm sorry to me say you do it. If you do, I'm going to get you. Well, the lieutenant standing right there. And he said, Smith. He said, go ahead and do it. I said, sir. I said, he said, that's an order. So well, you got it then. And so I had that did all the sergeants. When the lieutenant told me to say, he says, order, Smith. So I went and did it. And then after I got out, went to Panama and ran to one of my drill sergeants in Panama. Mm-hmm. And I've been there about a year and a half, I guess. And then they want me to go over 50 miles from there to another base to do NCO training, I said, I didn't want to go. But they said, well, Smith, you're going to represent Quarry Heights, what we hear from. And I got there. I was E5 then. When I got there, I got off the train. And that's time one of my drill sergeants. And he said, Smith, he put us to the E7 on my arm, temporarily, just to feel like while I was going to school.
Yeah, elaborate more on those numbers, E5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Nine is either first sergeant, sergeant major. Okay. Sergeant major got a star and 3 up, 3 down, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 down and 3 up. In the middle, you got a star. That's a sergeant major. Okay, you got a diamond in that's first sergeant. 3 up, 3 down, and down. But E1, it's a private. My basic training. Some guys made E2 out of basic. I didn't make E1. I believe. But I got promoted real fast. I made from 1 to 5 in 1 year, son. And I know guys been on 7 to 10 years. Now they wasn't even a 5 then. Oh wow. Yeah. So I did that, and I guess maybe and I worked for my boss was Air Force in the public affairs office. He's an Air Force colonel, and I was Army, so that was a good thing to have. And so they had me before the board, like I'm sitting here now, right? And was getting ready to get promoted, and they asked me questions. So he said, he thought I was nervous. He said, Smith, he said, how many barks in a dog? And so I laughed, So I said, well, sure. I said, how much gas is in a dog in a horse? We just couldn't joke it. But all them lieutenants and captains and colonels all sitting on the table, they thought they had Smith, but they didn't. I wasn't scared. And so that was one of the times, and
so you sent us some photos of you and a young lady, and also just of you. Can you elaborate more on those photos? What was going on around that time?
Oh, right there. Right there, I just got from work, see? Just got out of my car, came from the public affairs office, came out the mess hall. The mess hall in my background right there. I'm on the 4th floor right there. Back there. But now the first floor got glass window down there. Second, third, and 4th floor, there was no glass window in those barracks. We don't have to.
What was your mind frame?
Sending a picture home to my mother, okay. And because she didn't want me to go, oh, she had a bit. And I was 23 years old, and I slipped off. Oh, wow. And my 2 brothers behind me did the same thing. Slipped off because my mother was thinking about World War II. And it was bad. It was bad. The American Army was bad. And everybody knows that. Was in the Army. Everybody wasn't. They still know that it was bad.
Let's talk about that.
Well, for as trade is concerned, and I talked to men that told me how bad it was, and they had white officers over black soldiers, So they didn't have their own officer. They had their own officer, but they had another white one over them, all the way from Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And he was over here, and they was over there. I got General Colin Powell. You heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got pictures of him. I got his whole book there. And he was telling me, he said, in the book, he said he drove, they sent him to Fort Benning, Georgia. He had his Volvo, just came out of Germany. I think he was a lieutenant or either a captain, real low ranking. And he drove down to Alabama, getting him through Georgia, and the police pulled him over, and Johnson was running for president then. Mm-hmm. He made him take that stick off his car and all that kind of stuff. Then when he got there to that Fort Benning, Georgia, and he was allowed to go to the officer club. No, allowed to go there. But long story short, that base now is named, officer club is named after him now, and that base and the bridge that come out of the town named after him now. But anyway, so he went to one of them drive-throughs, where you go to like Christian, somebody, they put him a tray on the side of your car when you order your sandwich. Yeah. And he said that, and then when the girl come out, and she said, because but he's light-skinned dude, he said, nice hair. She said, are you from, are you a Puerto Rican? He said, no. Are you a foreign exchange student? He said, no. She said, well, I'm sorry. I can't serve it, but you go to the back door, I'll give you it. And he said, he almost lost it, but he said, I quote now, I'm reading the book. He said, thought about what my mother told me: when you go down south, what's going to be happening, and if you don't let them take your joy from you, don't let them run you. And you know how he wound up doing. Make a long story short, he wound up being the Joint Chief of Staff. All the way from that 4-star general. But if he had stopped then, it would have been difficult. He said, well, no, I'm not going to let that stop me. And that's that. So I kind of like, saw those people there, and I talked to the guys that was in their service. Korea War, they told me how bad it was, in the Korea War. But I saw the guy come home with the uniform on, so that made me want to have a uniform on too. So, and so my two brothers went in, but after I got in, I went in, and they got out of high school. And at the time, which I was glad, when they graduated, both of them graduated same time. Mm-hmm. They caught up with the other guy, and but they know my mother and then my dad passed when they were little babies. They knew my mother didn't have money out of Mississippi at the time to send them to college. So when you got out of high school, it's no point in standing on the street looking for a job when there wasn't any jobs down there. And you're going to start getting into drugs, or somebody going to show you how to be slick or to steal something, or this and make, no, that wasn't going to do it. So he went in the Air Force, and the other one went in the Navy. And so when he did his first show in the Navy, he got out and he came here. We was riding about Good Sam Hospital. And I said, Johnny, are you going to stay in? You threw your first tour. He said, oh, no, I'm thinking about it. I said, well, if you decide to stay in, I said, go officer. Just talking. And he came back to Cincinnati again. He's lieutenant. Wow. And then only up until when I went out there too in Virginia, he got promoted to full-board colonel. And he gave me his lieutenant bar, put it on. And he walked out of the room, and then he had this lieutenant bar on his cap he had on, but he had the eagle on his shoulder. My sister put it on him, my older sister, and his wife put it on him. And I said, well, sir, I always did want to tell the officer, you got the wrong cap on, sir. My little brother, so proud of him, man. Yeah. And so he did his own time. And his wife was in there, in the service. They met in the service. They both was in the Air Force. And then his son came up and he was in the Air Force.
Wow. That's awesome. That was like some good times. And so we got another picture here. Elaborate a little bit on this other picture.
Well, we came home. I came home basic training, and there was the girlfriend at the time, and we Mr. Anderson, this black guy that was in World War II, and like I told you, he came home and he got a GI loan, and he wanted to do photography and bought his equipment and everything else, and he came to my hometown, and he was taking he had his own studio and everything. He did that until he retired, but we went and took some pictures. Everybody, that's what you do. And didn't think more about that because I got my pictures at home and she had hers, and I said my sister, my mother got some. But those negatives, that man, Mr. Anderson, after he retired and got older, he's a friend of mine, my brother's wife, brought him. They was inquiring about those negatives because he had thousand negatives. And he told me, say, if you take those pictures and let the world see us, what I did and I'll sell you the pictures and things, because you do negatives. And it's just 6,000 pictures that he made. I'm on the invoice in DC right now on the thing on it. I didn't know this, but my brother was looking through that one night and he saw that picture and he asked me, "What does that mean?" He said, "How old are you?" I said, "I was 23." He said, "That's for you." And he sent me the picture on my phone. And I was, "Yeah, that's me."
You look good. You looking smooth in your uniform.
And that was my first uniform right there.
Okay.
That was September the 12th, 1966.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So when you came home, how did it feel?
Well, I came home leaving, believe it or not. I mean, they was I couldn't wait to get home. My first leave home. Not that one. Not that time.
Mm-hmm.
When I finally got my uniform, I've been in about a year and a half now. I got my uniform tapered, and my shoes shining, and I know what to do now. And I couldn't wait to go down my hometown, go down my street, see my people. Hey, what's up? Oh man, I had to go back home and take off my uniform. They like, heard about them. How they told us, your baby killers and that Vietnam War and y'all doing this and why you go to them? A lot of guys were burning their draft card going to Canada back in them days. Oh yeah, I didn't do that. I got my draft card. It was a good thing to get those days. It was like ID. When you turn 18, you get that. That's when they were drafting you.
Right.
And you get that when you turn 18. Oh well, you had that card in your pocket. You was somebody in terms of I got my next step. I'm gonna be able to go out further from where I am on the term. So that's what I had. I had that draft card in the pocket, and it was just they didn't like us for being in the service, and so I heard all the other guys, white boys and all, when they come home on the plane, all that in California after I've been there over there in Panama, and I did 3 years there.
Okay.
That's what when you volunteer, you do 3 years. And then when they found out I was a volunteer, I'm in basic training. We all together, and they call your name off. If you was drafted, you was called U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Your name and the U.S.
Right.
And I would call off my name was R.E. What? All these soldiers, 331 guys, they jumped on me and all of us. Man, you volunteered. You blah, 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 blah. Why you volunteer? You crazy? No, I'm not crazy. That's what you wanted to do. And that's what I want to do. Somehow I felt that time. I said, well, if I don't go now, I'm not going to be able to go after a while. We won't be able to make that basic training. To be too old to cut the muscle. To run or, do that kind of stuff. I said, but I don't go now, I'm going to go. And I get a chance to see something in the world. I've been places I would never go again because for one reason, I don't have a reason to go again. Yeah. Number two, I wouldn't even have the money to go places I've been, people I've seen, And then I got he sent me to Panama, and I went. I had never heard of Panama. I never heard of it before. Mm-hmm. Not like I know now. And when I got there, the weather was so different that I never heard it before. You can't fly a kite in Panama because the wind don't blow. Mm-hmm. There's no glass window on second, third, and fourth floor up there. Oh, wow. Nothing just one window, but it wouldn't barely didn't have any. But when it rained, the rain falls straight down. Mm-hmm. So that's the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, 50 miles apart. Mm-hmm. And we stayed right in there between them, 50 miles right there. That's the only place in the world that the two oceans come together in that way. And that's where that canal cut at. Mm-hmm. So the boats go by there. Come from New York to go to California to go to the backside of Africa. But now you don't do it now. You cut through Panama. Mm-hmm.
Well, Mr. Smith, you're brave to be here and to tell your story. It speaks volumes. And once again, I just want to thank you for your service. And I always say freedom was not free. Somebody had to pay the cost. And, you serving your country, we appreciate that. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Is there anything else you want to
Well, I just want to say, first of all, I thank God, too, that he brought me home, too. Because I saw a lot of boys, a lot of them gave some of us gave all.
That's right.
You know, they never did make it home. You know, and I made it home again, and I just thank God for that. You know, and I'm blessed to be able to have gone to the place I went. You know, and came home, and I'm not. I'm proud that I did what I did.
Yes,
You know, I went. I mean, I had no idea, and if we still don't know what the war was all about, what Vietnam was about, what Korea was about. We don't know. I don't know what it's about. I don't know World War II. People can relate to that, but what was the other? We don't know. So I went. I'm glad I went, and I don't have no regrets in terms of individual personal thing. But I mean, the whole thing itself is not. You know, it's not where it's supposed to be at either. But I didn't personally have no problems in terms of you know.
Well, you made it back, and you're here safely, and we just appreciate your service.
Well,
and I thank
you.
you for coming on our show.
Yes.
This is CCH Healthcare Podcast. I'm Kelly Jackson, and this is Voices of Valor, and we just thank you for hearing us tonight.